Welcome to Monk's Temple. Please, find a comfortable position. You might close your eyes, or soften your gaze toward the floor. There's no need to listen with effort. Simply let the words arrive, like leaves landing on a still pond. We are not here to add more thoughts to the stream of your mind. We are here to notice the nature of the water itself. There is a story I have carried with me for many years, from my earliest days in a mountain monastery. It is a simple story, about a cup. Every morning, before dawn, we would line up to receive tea from the old kitchen master. He would pour the steaming, bitter brew into our ceramic bowls. I was young, eager, and terribly impatient with the slow rituals of the place. One morning, distracted by my plans for the day, I thrust my bowl forward carelessly. The old master poured, but I was already moving, and the hot tea splashed over my hand and onto the stone floor. I yelped, more in annoyance than pain. The kitchen master did not apologize. He simply looked at me, then at the empty bowl in my hand, and said in a voice as calm as the fog outside, "A cup that is always moving cannot be filled. And a cup that is too full cannot receive a single drop more." Then he turned and moved to the next student, leaving me standing there, wet-handed and humbled. For days, his words echoed in me. I began to see my own mind as that cup. Always in motion, leaning into the next task, the next thought, the next moment of achievement, sloshing out the present in my hurry to get to a future where I imagined I would finally be full, finally be at peace. And in my striving to feel secure, to feel accomplished, I was missing the simple, nourishing tea of this breath, this step, this moment of silence. My security was always projected forward, a phantom just out of reach. Buddhism did not teach me to stop drinking the tea of life. It taught me how to hold the cup. It taught me that peace is not a destination where the cup is perpetually full, but the ability to hold it steady, open, and receptive, whether it is empty, full, or somewhere in between. This is where our exploration begins. If these reflections feel like a gentle turning toward a quieter truth, consider staying with us on this path. Subscribe to Monk's Temple. Here, we regularly return to these wellsprings of ancient wisdom, exploring how they meet the noise and beauty of our modern lives. Your presence in this community is a quiet bell of mindfulness, reminding us all to come back to the cup, and to the hand that holds it. Now, let us begin not with the end of life, but with its middle, with the very engine of our daily striving. Let's talk about the myth of ownership, and the quiet truth it conceals. We live in a world that teaches us to build shelves. Strong, tall, impressive shelves. And upon them, we are instructed to carefully place our possessions. Here, we place our achievements, polished and displayed. There, our relationships, framed and presented. On this shelf, our financial security, stacked neatly. On that one, our reputations, our health, our plans for a future that looks a certain way. We dust these shelves daily. We measure our worth by their height and by the apparent solidity of the items we have collected. We stand back and look at this curated museum of our life and we whisper to ourselves, "This is my security. This will hold me." Buddhism walks into this carefully arranged room and, with the kindness of a true friend, points to a fact we have all felt in our bones but fear to name: everything on these shelves is on loan. Every single item. The loan has no fixed term. The lender, call it life, time, nature, can call in any item, at any moment, without notice. The body you count on, loaned. The mind you rely on, Loaned. The people you love. Loaned. The career, the home, the very sense of who you are. All temporary arrangements of conditions, all borrowed. This is the teaching of anicca, impermanence. It is not a gloomy philosophical idea. It is the most practical observation possible. To build your sense of safety on the stability of the borrowed is to build your house on the surface of a river. It may hold for a season, when the water is low and frozen, but the thaw always comes. I think of a man named Leo. Leo was a master shelf builder. He built a fortune in real estate, literal shelves of brick and mortar. He cultivated a vast network of friends, a shelf of social proof. He curated a perfect family image, a shelf of domestic success. He believed, with every fiber of his being, in the gospel of ownership. What is mine will secure me, was his unspoken mantra. Then, over a few short years, the lender began to call in the loans. A market crash eroded his fortune. A betrayal in his inner circle scattered his friends. His children grew into adults with their own, very different, values, fracturing the perfect family portrait. Each loss felt to Leo not like a natural change, but like a theft. He became bitter, paranoid, and desperately tried to clutch harder at what remained, which only seemed to accelerate the loss. His shelves were emptying, and he believed he was emptying with them. His suffering was acute, not simply because of the losses, life brings loss to everyone, but because he had never, for one moment, contemplated the borrowed nature of it all. He had mistaken the loan for a purchase, and was now raging at the universe for repossessing what he thought he owned. Contrast this with someone like Maya, a botanist I once met. She lived in a small cottage filled with plants. She too had shelves, but they held cuttings, seeds, and specimens. She would often say, "I am just their temporary caretaker." She loved her work, her friends, her garden with a deep, attentive passion. But there was a lightness to her love. When a rare orchid she had nurtured for years suddenly died, she felt a sharp grief. She sat with the withered plant, truly mourned it. But the next day, she was already examining its remains, learning from its death, preparing soil for a new seed. She did not feel personally annihilated. Why? Because she had never confused stewardship with ownership. She knew she was tending temporary, miraculous expressions of life, not collecting permanent trophies. Buddhism asks us to adopt the mind of the botanist, not the collector. It does not tell us to abandon our shelves, to live with nothing. That is a misunderstanding. It asks us to change our relationship to the items. Can you appreciate the beautiful vase without believing its presence guarantees your safety? Can you love a person without believing their existence is the foundation of your wholeness? Can you use your talents without cementing your identity to them? This is the practice of non-attachment, or better, non-clinging. It is holding every borrowed thing in an open palm, not a clenched fist. You enjoy the warmth while it's there. You feel the cool emptiness when it's gone. But your hand remains the same hand, open, receptive, ready for the next gift, the next return. When you internalize this, a miracle happens. The fear of loss begins to loosen its grip. Not because loss stops hurting, it always will, but because you are no longer building yourself on the very thing that is guaranteed to change. Your security shifts from the fragile items on the shelf to the unwavering awareness that is seeing the shelf, that is experiencing the coming and going of all things. That awareness cannot be borrowed or repossessed. It is the one thing you truly are. Aging is the process where the lender becomes more active. Items are called back, one by one. Strength, speed, certain memories, loved ones, familiar roles. If you are identified as the shelf and its contents, this feels like a systematic dismantling of your very self. It is terrifying. But if you have practiced being the spacious room that contains the shelf, then the emptying is just a change in the scenery of that room. The room itself remains, intact and undiminished. You are that room. You are the awareness, not the artifacts. This is the first and perhaps greatest preparation, to live a life of grateful stewardship, not anxious ownership. To build your peace not on what you have, but on your ability to be fully present with what is, while it is, and fully present with what is not, when it is gone. Start practicing with the small things. The cup of coffee you drink. The comfortable chair you sit in. Notice the urge to claim them as permanent parts of your world. Then, gently, remember the botanist. You are just its caretaker, for now. And in that remembering, a profound and unshakable freedom begins to breathe. Let us continue. Find your breath again. Let the last ideas settle like sediment in a stream, leaving the water of your attention clear for what comes next. We have spoken of the borrowed nature of all things. But what do we do with this knowledge? Often, we perform a subtle, desperate act. We try to use the borrowed things to construct a permanent self, a solid statue of me that we hope will stand against the river of time. This is our next exploration. The phantom of identity, and the freedom found in its gentle dissolution. There is an ancient practice in some Himalayan valleys. Artists there create beautiful, intricate sculptures from colored sand. They are called mandalas. For days, weeks, monks will bend over a flat surface, painstakingly placing each grain of sand with a metal funnel, building up cosmic diagrams, palaces of the gods, patterns of breathtaking complexity and beauty. Crowds gather to admire the work. It represents the universe, order, divine architecture. And then, in a simple, profound ceremony, when it is complete, they destroy it. They sweep up the sand and pour it into a flowing river, to be carried back into the world. To the outside observer, this seems like madness. All that work, all that beauty, gone in a moment. But the monks understand something fundamental. The beauty was not in the permanence of the palace. The beauty was in the intention, the focus, the act of creation itself. The destruction is the final, essential lesson of the piece. Nothing composed of separate parts lasts. Clinging to the form is to miss the point entirely. The real work was in the mind of the creator while creating, and in the mind of the observer while letting go. We are all sand artists. From the moment we gain self-awareness, we begin constructing our personal mandala. This grain of sand is, I am smart. This one, I am a kind person. Here we place, I am a parent. Here, I am successful. We use the colored sands of our experiences, the opinions of others, our achievements and failures, to build a detailed, seemingly coherent portrait of a self. We spend decades on this artwork. We defend it. We polish it. We show it to the world and say, this is me. Buddhism approaches this masterpiece and, with the same fearless kindness as the senior monk with the broom, points to its nature. It calls this constructed self anatta, often translated as no self. This does not mean you don't exist. It means what you think of as your solid, continuous self is a mandala. A temporary, exquisite, utterly contingent arrangement of shifting components, body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, consciousness. It is a process, not a monument. A verb masquerading as a noun. The tragedy and the liberation are in the same fact. Your mandala is meant to be swept away. Not at death, but in every moment. The you of 10 years ago is gone. The you of yesterday is gone. The you that started listening to this sentence is already receding. We just don't notice because we are so busy adding new grains of sand to the pattern, maintaining the illusion of continuity. I remember a woman named Eleanor. Eleanor's mandala was titled The Invincible Caregiver. Her sands were stories of strength. Nursing ailing parents, supporting a struggling husband, raising 3 children mostly alone, always being the rock in every crisis. She wore this identity like armor. It was her pride and her prison. It gave her meaning, but it also demanded that she never show weakness, never ask for help, never be the one in need. Time, the great sweeper, began its work. Her children moved across the country. Her husband passed away. Her own health developed a chronic, fatiguing condition. Suddenly, the role of the invincible caregiver had no one to care for, and a body that could not sustain the invincibility. The world stopped reflecting her mandala back to her. Instead, it saw a tired, lonely older woman. Eleanor felt erased. She fell into a deep depression. She wasn't just grieving her losses, she was grieving the annihilation of the self she had spent a lifetime crafting. The sweeping felt like violence. It took years, and the help of a therapist skilled in mindfulness, for Eleanor to begin to see the space around her mandala. In moments of quiet, when the story of the caregiver was silent, she would notice other things. The way sunlight made patterns on her rug. A genuine, role-less laugh at a silly joke on TV. A simple feeling of warmth from a cup of tea. Tiny moments where the artist was not busy with the sand, but was simply aware. Slowly, painfully, she began to differentiate between the pattern in the sand and the awareness that could see the pattern. She started to practice letting the caregiver grain of sand be just one color in a larger, more fluid picture. She joined a community garden, not to be in charge, but to simply get her hands in the dirt. She began to write small, honest poems about fear and loneliness, not for an audience, but as a way to touch feelings she had always buried under her strength. She was learning, as the Buddha taught, to hold identity lightly, to see it as a useful tool for navigating the world, not as the unchanging essence of her being. When we mistake the mandala for the artist, aging becomes a horrifying act of vandalism. Every gray hair, every lost capacity, every changed relationship feels like a malicious swipe at the masterpiece. But when we realize we are the awareness that can create and appreciate and release 10,000 mandalas in a single lifetime, everything changes. The sweeping away is not personal. It is natural. It is reality, finally becoming visible through the fading of our most cherished fiction. This is not a call to become passive or indifferent. The artist still creates. The monk still spends weeks on the sand with impeccable care. The difference is in the relationship to the creation. You can build a beautiful career, be a loving parent, cultivate a skill, but you do so with a secret smile, knowing this is a temporary, beautiful expression, not your ultimate definition. You enjoy the making. You appreciate the finished piece. and you are internally prepared for the river. When you cultivate this perspective, aging transforms. The sands of physical prowess, of certain social roles, of mental quickness, may be gently carried away. But the artist, the aware, luminous space that was watching the whole process, remains, curiously interested in what new, simpler, perhaps more subtle patterns can be made with the sands that remain. Maybe the pattern becomes the quiet listener, or the appreciator of small birds, or simply the one who breathes. The goal is not to have no identity. The goal is to be free from identity's tyranny. To know you are the vast, clear sky, and the mandala of you is just a temporary, beautiful weather pattern passing through. The sky is not damaged by the weather's change. It is what allows the weather to be. So, practice this now. In your daily life, when you feel insulted, ask, which grain of sand in my mandala is being threatened? The competent professional grain. The likable person grain. See if you can, for a moment, step back and be the sky that contains that threatened cloud. When you feel proud, see the beautiful, temporary pattern you've made, and appreciate it without gluing it down. This daily, gentle practice of release is what prepares you for the great, compassionate sweeping of later years. It ensures you will not be swept away with the sand, but will remain, serene and open, as the space where all patterns arise and pass. Let us go deeper now. Settle into your chair, your cushion, the ground beneath you. Feel the points of contact, the simple, undeniable fact of being supported. We've spoken of borrowed things and sand mandalas. But where do we usually seek our support when the world feels unsteady? We look outward. This is our next quiet inquiry, the architecture of dependence, and the inner foundation that needs no pillars. Imagine, if you will, a beautiful vine. It is lush, green, covered in flowers. It grows not from the ground, but by winding itself tightly around a tall, sturdy wooden post. The vine and the post seem like one structure. The vine reaches for the sun, blossoms beautifully, all because of the post's strength. It leans completely, utterly. For years, this arrangement is perfect. The post is solid. The vine flourishes. But what happens when the season turns, and the post, being wood, begins to soften? Perhaps it weathers. Perhaps it is struck by lightning. It begins to rot, to lean, to weaken. The vine, having no roots of its own in the earth, now finds its entire world tilting. Its leaves wilt. Its flowers strain toward a sun they can no longer reach as the post topples. The vine's crisis is not because the post was evil. The post was just being a post, subject to time and decay. The crisis is that the vine never learned to send its own roots down. It mistook the post's stability for its own. This is the subtle tragedy of socially approved dependence. We are that vine. We wrap ourselves around posts, our family's approval, our partner's affection, our children's need for us, our professional status, our circle of friends. These posts are not bad. They are often wonderful, full of love and meaning. But we make a fatal error. We believe our uprightness, our emotional stability, our sense of worth, comes from them. We believe we are blooming because of the post. We forget we carry within us the capacity to find the earth on our own. Buddhism has always pointed to this error with great compassion. It does not condemn the vine for loving the post. It warns the vine about the nature of wood. All conditioned things are impermanent. Every external post will, in time, sway, change, or fall. If your sense of balance is wired into that post, you will fall with it. This is not a prediction of doom, but a map for true resilience. I want to tell you about a friend, David. David was the vine, and his post was his role as the family patriarch and community leader. He was the one everyone called. The decision maker. The solver of problems. His emotional world was a barometer of his external usefulness. When the phone rang with a request, he felt valued, calm. When days went quiet, he felt uneasy, irrelevant. He'd check his email compulsively, seeking the next task that would prove his post was still standing tall. He called this being needed. He didn't see it as dependence, he saw it as love and responsibility. Then, he retired. His children, mature and capable, no longer needed his guidance in the same way. The community organization he led brought in a younger director. The phone rang less. The emails were administrative, not urgent. The post of his external relevance began to creak. David didn't know what to do with himself. He grew irritable, then depressed. He tried to insert himself into his children's lives with unsolicited advice, which pushed them away. He'd replay old stories of his importance. The quiet felt like a personal rejection. He was not just missing activity, he was experiencing the terrifying sensation of having no ground beneath his feet because he had never cultivated his own. His peace had been entirely rented from his roles, and the lease was up. His journey back to earth began in a humble, desperate way. His wife, worried, bought him a small, failing potted lemon tree. "Keep this alive," she said, with a gentle challenge in her eyes. David, with no other mission, focused on it. He researched soil pH. He learned about light. He watered it with meticulous care. It was a tiny, fragile post to wrap around, but it was something. One afternoon, as he was misting the tree's leaves, he had a simple, staggering realization. His focus was completely on the tree. There was no thought of being needed, of his legacy, of what anyone thought of him. There was just the cool spray, the glossy green leaves, the faint, hopeful scent of citrus. In that moment, he was not David the patriarch. He was awareness, tending to life. He felt a calm so deep it brought tears to his eyes. For the first time, his emotional state was not tied to an external post. It arose from a simple, direct engagement with the present. That lemon tree was his first root touching the soil of his own being. From there, he could begin the harder work. He started sitting in silence for 5 minutes a day, just feeling his breath, another root. He began taking long walks without a destination, just noticing trees and sky, another route. Slowly, he developed an inner stability that was not contingent on being the post for others. He could still be a father, a friend, a mentor, but from a place of fullness, not neediness. He was becoming a tree in his own right. This is what the Buddha meant by inner independence, or non-clinging. It is not isolation. It is the mature ability to connect deeply without using the other person as your structural support. It is being able to love the post, the family, the partner, the work, while knowing your foliage is fed by your own roots in the timeless earth of awareness. When you are young and strong, the posts are plentiful and seem solid. It's easy to believe this system of outward leaning is the only way to live. But life's seasons will test every post. Friends move. Careers shift. Children build their own lives. The body can no longer perform in ways that garner attention. If your peace is tied to these, you will feel abandoned, even if everyone loves you perfectly. The practice is to send your roots down now, while the posts are still strong and beautiful. How? Through the direct cultivation of internal awareness, meditation is the primary tool. It is the deliberate act of sitting with no post to lean on, just you and the raw experience of being. It's uncomfortable at first. The vine panics. It wants to reach for a thought, a plan, a memory, anything to wrap around. But you gently bring it back to the breath, to bodily sensation, to sound. You are teaching the vine it can be upright on its own. You are introducing it to the nourishing soil of the present moment, which never decays, never leaves, never judges. With this practice, aging is not a series of posts falling away, leaving you in a heap. It is a gradual, natural shedding of external supports, revealing the mature, deeply rooted tree you have become. The silence isn't loneliness, it's the spaciousness your own foliage now enjoys. The decreased activity isn't irrelevance, it's the quiet dignity of a being that draws sustenance from within. You can enjoy the presence of other trees without needing to hold them up or be held up by them. You stand together in the same forest, each rooted, each complete. So, in your life today, notice where you are leaning. In a conversation, are you speaking to connect, or to secure reassurance? When you achieve something, is your worth confirmed, or simply expressed? When you are alone, does anxiety arise, pointing to a missing post? Don't judge it. Just see it. Then, for a few minutes, practice standing without the post. Sit. Breathe. Be the vine discovering, moment by moment, that it has always been connected to the earth. This is the beginning of true, unshakable security. Let us turn our attention now to a force that shapes our lives from the shadows, a silent architect of our choices. We move from the outward lean to the inward flinch. We arrive at our deep, often unspoken, packed with comfort, and the high price of its promise. Picture a vast, still lake at dawn. Its surface is flawless glass, perfectly reflecting the mountains and sky. This lake represents a mind at peace. Now, imagine you are in a small boat on that lake. Your life's instruction has been simple: keep the surface unbroken. At any cost. A ripple is a problem. A wave is a crisis. So, you are given an array of tools, distractions, routines, habits, pleasures, busyness, denial. The moment a thought fish jumps, creating a ripple of anxiety, you scramble to smooth it over with entertainment. A gust of wind from a difficult emotion starts a wave, and you frantically pour the oil of shopping or gossip or food onto the waters. Your entire life energy is devoted to this single task, maintaining the illusion of a placid, undisturbed surface. This, Buddhism tells us, is the pursuit of comfort mistaken for the pursuit of peace. They are not the same. Comfort is the obsessive smoothing of the surface. Peace is the profound depth of the lake that remains unchanged, regardless of the storms on the surface. Comfort is conditional: I will be okay if the surface is calm. Peace is unconditional: the depths are still, even when the surface is not. We are all, to some degree, lake smoothers. Society rewards us for it. It calls it stress management, self-care, the pursuit of happiness. But it is a management based on avoidance, not understanding. We are not taught to become intimate with the ripples, to learn their nature. We are taught to fear them, to erase them. We spend decades perfecting our smoothing techniques, and we call this building a good life. The problem is time. And nature. The lake is not a sealed unit. It is part of a living world. Storms will come. The body, a natural process, will send waves of ache and fatigue. Loss will send tsunamis of grief. Aging is the season when the weather becomes less predictable, and your smoothing tools become blunter, less effective. You can no longer outrun the wind. You can no longer distract yourself from the gathering clouds. This is when the smoother panics. Not because the storm is unbearable, but because they have never learned to swim. They only know how to cling to the boat and pray for calm. I recall a man named Thomas. Thomas was a master lake smoother. He had curated a life of impeccable routine. He ate the same healthy breakfast at the same time. He exercised precisely. His work was in data analysis, a world of predictable patterns. He avoided conflict, difficult films, unsettling music. He meditated, but with a goal, to achieve a blank, ripple-free mind. For 40 years, his lake was remarkably placid. He prided himself on his stability. Then, three things happened in quick succession. His company restructured, making his role obsolete. His aging mother began a steep cognitive decline, and he developed a persistent, undiagnosable pain in his shoulder. The tools failed. He couldn't analyze away the job market or his mother's fading mind. Exercise exacerbated the pain. The meditation just brought him face to face with a rising tide of fear he could no longer smooth over. Thomas didn't know how to be with discomfort. His mind only knew one command: fix it. Make it stop. When he couldn't, he interpreted it as total failure. He spiraled into a severe anxiety disorder. The ripples he had spent a lifetime avoiding had become a raging storm, and he was drowning, not in the pain itself, but in his terror of the pain. His suffering was a multiplier effect, the original discomfort, multiplied by a lifetime of resistance to ever feeling it. His healing began not with a new smoothing tool, but with a radical shift in instruction. A pain specialist who used mindfulness techniques told him, "Your task is no longer to calm the lake. Your new task is to dive beneath the surface." He was guided to, when the shoulder pain arose, to stop fighting it and instead to explore it with curiosity. Where is its exact center? Is it sharp or dull? Does it throb or burn? Does it have a color in your mind's eye? Reluctantly, Thomas tried. Instead of tensing against the pain, he relaxed around it. Instead of the thought, "This is terrible and must stop," he used the mental note, "sensation." Changing. He discovered a fascinating thing: the pain was not a solid block. It was a constellation of tiny sensations, ebbing and flowing. And around that constellation was space. Vast, aware space that was not in pain. He was, for moments, not Thomas in pain, but awareness knowing pain. The storm was still on the surface, but he had discovered the depths. The pain didn't magically vanish, but the paralyzing fear of it did. The multiplier was turned off. This is the core of the Buddha's teaching on the first noble truth. There is dukkha, often translated as suffering, but closer to the innate unsatisfactoriness of conditioned existence. Discomfort is inherent. The second noble truth is that suffering is multiplied by our craving for things to be other than they are, our thirst for the lake to be still. The path out is not to stop the waves, but to change our relationship to the water. When you practice this, sitting with boredom instead of grabbing your phone, feeling sadness without rushing to cheer yourself up, noticing anxiety without following its catastrophic story, you are not building comfort. You are building peace. You are strengthening your capacity to reside in the deep, still center of the lake, while allowing the surface weather to do what it will. Aging is the inevitable removal of your most effective smoothing tools. The body's discomfort becomes more persistent. Losses accumulate. The energy for constant distraction fades. If you have only practiced smoothing, you are left weaponless before the storm. But if you have practiced diving deep, through meditation, through mindful acceptance of small daily irritations, you approach this season with a different kind of strength. You have a homeland within that no external weather can touch. You will feel the aches. You will know the grief. But you will not be terrorized by them. You will not add layers of, "this shouldn't be," and "why me," and "I can't bear this," to the original sensation. You will meet the raw experience with a clarity that contains it, that knows it as a passing weather pattern in the vast sky of your awareness. This is equanimity. It is not numbness. It is the profound, quiet strength of the deep lake. So, begin today. The next time you feel a minor annoyance, a delayed train, a critical comment, a boring wait, resist the first impulse to smooth it over. Pause. Feel the ripple. Breathe into the physical sensation of frustration. Observe the frantic thoughts that want to fix it. Don't follow them. Just be the lake, knowing the ripple. In that pause, you are not building comfort. You are forging peace. You are preparing, in the most practical way possible, for the deeper waters of a full human life. Now, let us journey to a quieter, more spacious place within. A place we often avoid, yet one that holds a key to profound freedom. We turn from the stormy surface of the lake to the sky that contains it. We arrive at the gift and the teacher of silence. Most of us live in a room with a television that is always on. The volume is not deafening, but it is constant. It plays news, old arguments, future worries, nostalgic jingles, to-do lists, and commentary on everything we experience. We are so accustomed to its noise that we mistake it for the room itself. We forget there is such a thing as silence. In fact, we become afraid of the off button. What if, when the noise stops, we find the room is empty? Or worse, that there is something frightening waiting in the quiet? So, we keep the set on. We change the channel, we turn up the volume, we add second and third screens. We call this a rich, full life. Buddhism has long pointed to this and named it for what it is. A flight from reality. The noise is not life. It is our commentary on life, our avoidance of life's bare, immediate presence. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of a deeper dimension of listening. It is the space in which the actual texture of existence can be felt. Avoiding silence is like being a gardener who only ever looks at the labels on the seed packets, who reads gardening books, who talks about soil, but who never actually puts their hands in the earth. The intellectual noise about the garden replaces the direct, silent intimacy with the garden. And then one day, the gardener is placed in the garden itself, with no books, no labels, no one to talk to. They are terrified. They don't know the feel of the soil. They have no relationship with the quiet, growing things. The garden feels alien, overwhelming, lonely. This is the crisis many face in the later seasons of life. The external sources of noise. The busy job, the demanding social calendar, the frantic churn of parenting, naturally begin to quiet. The television of constant doing is turned down. And suddenly, you are in the garden of your own mind, and you have never learned to be there. You've only ever read the labels: I am a worker. I am a parent. I am a planner. Now, without those labels, you are just present. And if your only skill has been to generate or consume noise, this presence feels like a void. The mind, untrained in stillness, rushes to fill it with the only thing it knows: more noise. It replays old grievances. It rehearses future fears. It becomes a cacophony of regret and anxiety. This internal noise is what people often mistake for loneliness. It is not the absence of others. It is the unbearable presence of an untamed self. I think of a woman named Gloria. Gloria was the life of every party, the organizer of every event. Her calendar was a mosaic of color-coded commitments. Her home was never silent, music, TV, or conversation always filled the air. She prided herself on never being alone with her thoughts. I don't like silence, she'd laugh. It's creepy. When her husband passed away and her children were grown, the external noise infrastructure collapsed. The parties were now hosted by younger friends. The events she used to organize continued without her. The big, empty house was terrifyingly quiet. She tried to fill it. With volunteer work, with constant travel, with blaring televisions in every room. But the gaps remained. In those gaps, thoughts emerged she had outrun for decades, grief not just for her husband, but for parts of herself she'd neglected, a fear that she had no substance beyond her social role, a simple, stark fear of the empty hours. One rainy afternoon, the cable went out. The TV screens went black. The internet was down. She sat in her living room, and the silence descended like a physical weight. At first, she panicked. She paced. Then, exhausted, she simply sat and cried. She cried for a long time. And after the tears, something shifted. In the pure, unmediated quiet, she heard the rain on the roof. A sound she hadn't truly heard in years. She noticed the way the gray light softened the edges of the furniture. She felt the weight of her own body in the chair, the rhythm of her breath. There was no story, no label. Just sensation. Just presence. In that silent hour, Gloria wasn't a widow, a mother, a hostess. She was awareness, listening to rain. A profound calm, entirely different from the frenetic fun of her busy life, settled over her. It wasn't happiness. It was peace. She had, by accident, stumbled into the garden and discovered it was not a terrifying void, but a place of immense, quiet richness. Buddhism encourages us to enter this garden on purpose. Meditation is the deliberate practice of turning off the internal television. You sit, and you notice the noise, the thoughts, the mental chatter, and you gently, repeatedly, return your attention to a simple anchor, the breath, a sound, bodily sensation. You are not trying to create silence. You are creating the conditions for silence to reveal itself as the background against which all noise appears and disappears. You are getting to know the garden so you are no longer a stranger in it. This practice changes everything about aging. If you have befriended silence, the natural quieting of later life is not a sentence to loneliness, but an invitation to depth. The long evenings are not empty, they are spacious. The time alone is not punishment, it is sanctuary. You can sit with memories without being consumed by them because you are the spacious awareness that holds the memory, not the memory itself. The internal noise may still arise, but you see it as weather in the sky of your mind, not as the sky itself. When you avoid silence, you are avoiding the most honest relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. Old age forces that relationship upon you. It is far kinder to cultivate it now, willingly, as a practice of curiosity and care. So, begin. Not with an hour of forced stillness, but with micro-moments. When you get in your car, don't immediately turn on the radio. Sit for 3 breaths in the quiet. When you are waiting in line, don't pull out your phone. Feel your feet on the floor. Listen to the ambient sound. When you lie down to sleep, spend 1 minute just feeling the weight of your body on the mattress before your thoughts rush in. In these tiny pauses, you are turning the volume down. You are visiting the garden. You are learning that silence is not your enemy. It is your native state, the clear, open awareness that was there before the first thought and will be there after the last. To prepare for aging is to cultivate a friendship with this inner silence, so that when the world grows quiet, you are not meeting a stranger, but coming home to your oldest, most peaceful self. Let us now turn to a universal sculptor, a force that shapes the clay of our years with unseen hands. We move from the inner silence to the story we tell within it. We confront the architect of our deepest sorrows and, paradoxically, the key to our release, regret. Imagine you are a writer. Not of books, but of a single, ongoing letter. This letter is addressed to your future self. Every day, with your choices, your actions, your words left spoken and unspoken, you add a sentence, a paragraph, a page to this letter. Most of the time, you write quickly, distractedly, following old habits, the expectations of others, the path of least resistance. You use a faint pencil, thinking you can always go back and erase, edit, rewrite later. I'll fix that chapter tomorrow, you think. I'll write the truth later, when it's safer. Years pass. Decades. The letter grows thick. One day, you finally sit down to read it. This is the day when the noise fades, when the roles fall away, when you have the time and the quiet to finally review the story of your life. You pick up the letter, and you begin to read. What you discover will determine the quality of your remaining days. If you find a letter written in the clear ink of conscious choice, a narrative where you were, more often than not, honest with yourself, where you chose integrity over convenience, where you faced small fears in the name of a larger truth, you will feel a sorrowful but clean sadness. There will be grief for lost chances, yes, but no poison in it. You can hold this letter. It has weight, but it is not a weight that crushes. It is the weight of a life lived awake. But if you find a letter written in that faint, erasable pencil, a story of constant self-betrayal, pages where you silenced your intuition to keep the peace, where you traded passion for security while your soul whispered no, where you wore masks so long you forgot your own face, this letter will burn your hands. The regret will not be for failed plans, but for the unlived life. It will scream from every page, you knew. And you chose otherwise. This is the regret that hollows a person from the inside. Buddhism is acutely interested in this letter. Its teaching of karma is often misunderstood as cosmic punishment and reward. At its heart, it is about cause and effect in the realm of intention. It says, the quality of your future suffering or peace is being written now, by the quality of your present choices. The deepest cause of regret is not external failure, it is internal dishonesty. It is the karma of ignoring your own inner compass, again and again, until you are hopelessly lost. I knew a man named Robert. Robert was a brilliant architect, but his true love was woodworking. In his garage, he built exquisite, intricate music boxes. The process absorbed him completely, time vanished, and he felt a joy that was pure and uncomplicated. Yet, he saw it as a hobby, a silly thing. His professional architecture was prestigious, lucrative. It was the pencil he thought he was supposed to write with. For 40 years, he wrote his letter with the prestigious pencil. He built a successful firm. He provided a lavish life for his family. He was respected. And every weekend, in his garage, he added a faint, loving sketch in the margins with his music boxes, always telling himself, someday, I'll write the real story with this. Someday arrived with a diagnosis. A progressive condition meant his hands, his precise, beautiful tools, would eventually lose their fine control. He retired from architecture. He walked into his garage, now finally with all the time in the world, and faced his benches, his woods, his unfinished boxes. And a wave of anguish so profound it bent him double washed over him. It wasn't grief for his health. It was the tsunami of regret for the 40 years of someday. He had written a best-selling novel he didn't care about, and had only scribbled in the margins of the masterpiece he longed to create. The letter of his life felt like a forgery. The music boxes now mocked him with their silent, unfinished songs. Robert's story, thankfully, did not end there. In his despair, he did something brave. He began, with his trembling hands, to work on one final, simple box. It was clumsy. It was flawed. But he poured into it all the love he had postponed. He gave it to his granddaughter for her birthday. When she opened it, her eyes widened not at its perfection, but at its obvious, handmade love. She hugged him and said, "Grandpa, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." In that moment, Robert didn't erase the previous chapters. But he wrote a new sentence in bold, clear ink, "It is never too late to be honest." He began teaching basic woodworking to kids at a community center, focusing on joy, not precision. The regret didn't disappear, but it transformed. It became a compassionate teacher, reminding him to live his remaining chapters with radical honesty, however simple they might be. He stopped writing with the pencil of what should be, and started carving, however shakily, with the chisel of what is true for me. This is the preventative medicine Buddhism offers, mindfulness. Right action. It is the practice of checking the pen in your hand, moment to moment. Before you speak, pause. Is this true? Before you choose a path, feel into your body. Does this align with my inner knowing, or am I choosing from fear? It is not about creating a perfect, error-free letter. It is about writing in ink, making conscious choices you can stand behind, so that when you finally read your story, you recognize the author. You may wince at the clumsy prose, you may weep at the tragic parts, but you will not despise the writer for being a coward. Aging brings the time to read the letter. If you have written with conscious intent, the review is a life review, painful, beautiful, human. If you have written in self-betrayal, the review is a life sentence of regret. The difference is not in the events that happen to you, but in the degree of awareness and courage you brought to your responses. So, practice this now. Today. In a small situation, choose the slightly harder, more truthful option. Have the gentle conversation you've been avoiding. Say no to the commitment that drains your soul. Spend 1 hour on the thing that makes you lose track of time, even if it doesn't produce anything. In that choice, you are dipping your pen in clear, permanent ink. You are writing a sentence your future self will read with a nod of gratitude, thinking, yes. That was me. That was true. You are authoring the piece of your own later years. Write well. Now we approach the deepest current, the one that flows beneath all the others we have discussed. It is the shadow that gives shape to the light, the horizon that defines the journey. Let us speak plainly of that which modern life urges us to ignore, yet which holds a paradoxical key to vibrant living. Let us speak of death. Not as a morbid end, but as the silent, wise advisor who has been walking beside you all your life. Most of us treat this advisor as a menace. We build walls against its whispers. We paint over its insights with bright colors of distraction and achievement. We pretend, through frantic activity and accumulation, that we can outrun the inevitable meeting. We think that by not looking at the horizon, we can make the journey endless. Buddhism does the opposite. It turns to this advisor and says, "Teach me." The practice of maranasati, mindfulness of death, is not about cultivating fear. It is about incinerating triviality. It is the ultimate tool for prioritizing a life. Imagine you are holding a beautiful, fragile glass sphere. It is your life. You know it will someday slip from your hands. How do you hold it? If you are in denial of its fragility, you might clench it tightly, fearfully, or carelessly toss it from hand to hand in distraction. But if you hold its delicate nature fully in your awareness, your grip becomes both more gentle and more intentional. You appreciate its coolness against your palm. You notice the light shining through it. You hold it with a care that is itself a form of deep love. Your relationship with this advisor, with the fact of your own mortality, silently dictates the architecture of your existence. A life lived in denial of death is often a life of accumulation, of proving, of building taller and taller walls against the inevitable. It is a life where security is sought in things that death will effortlessly strip away. This creates a low-grade, persistent anxiety, a background hum of unease that we mistake for the sound of life itself. I once met a woman named Anya, a master gardener. She had a small, perfect plot of land that she tended with boundless devotion. One season, a rare, night-blooming cereus vine she had nurtured for 5 years was about to flower. The bloom would last only a single night. She invited a few friends to watch. As dusk fell, we gathered. The bud began to unfurl with an almost audible softness. For hours, we sat in silence as this staggering, luminous flower opened to the moon. Its scent was intoxicating. Its beauty was heartbreaking. And we all knew, with absolute certainty, that by dawn it would be wilted, gone forever. No one felt depressed. The atmosphere was one of heightened, reverent joy. Precisely because its time was so limited, every moment of watching was precious. We were not thinking of other things. We were utterly there. Anya whispered, "This is how I try to live with all of it. Knowing the bloom is one night long." Anya was in a conscious relationship with the advisor. Her garden was not an attempt to build a permanent monument against death. It was a daily, loving conversation with it. The impermanence of each blossom did not make her gardening futile, it made it sacred. Her life had a clarity and a lack of pettiness that was palpable. She did not waste time on grievances. She did not postpone kindness. She was not building a legacy, she was tending blooms, knowing their nature. Contrast this with a life lived in what we might call death amnesia. We live as if the bloom is eternal. We postpone the heartfelt conversation because we think there's always tomorrow. We stay in the unfulfilling job because the pension is decades away. We nurse grudges as if we have infinite time to reconcile. We fill our days with the trivial because the essential feels too heavy, too urgent, and we believe we have the luxury to delay it. Then, age arrives. The advisor speaks louder. The body, that most intimate reminder, begins to whisper of limits, then to speak clearly of decline. Friends begin to depart. The horizon is no longer a distant abstraction, it is a visible feature of the landscape. If you have spent a lifetime denying the advisor, this louder voice feels like a terrifying ambush. Every ache is a prelude to the end. Every loss is a personal insult. Life becomes a desperate, losing battle to ignore what can no longer be ignored. This is the source of much of the anger, bitterness, and fear in later years, not aging itself, but the sudden, violent confrontation with a truth that was always there. Buddhism encourages a gentle, ongoing friendship with this truth. It suggests regular, quiet reflection. My life is of uncertain length. My body is of a nature to sicken and grow old. Death is certain, the time of death is not. This is not to depress you. It is to shock you awake. It is the spiritual equivalent of the night-blooming cereus. When you truly absorb the fact that your bloom is for one night, metaphorically speaking, the clutter of your life falls away. What remains? Usually, it is not a frantic bucket list of exotic experiences. It is a profound simplification: love now. Forgive now. Speak your truth now. Do what matters now. Sit quietly and feel the air in your lungs now. When you cultivate this friendship, aging is not the enemy closing in. It is the bloom reaching its most fragrant, fully open stage before the natural closing. There is sweetness in it, even amidst the sorrow of knowing the night is advancing. You stop fighting time and start inhabiting it completely. You grieve losses, but you don't feel cheated, because you never believed you had a permanent contract. You simplify your possessions not as deprivation, but as a relief. You are preparing to leave a clean camp. You cherish ordinary moments with an extraordinary presence. This is the ultimate preparation, and it begins now. You don't need to dwell morbidly on death. Simply let its reality touch your decisions in small ways. When you are tempted to postpone a joy, ask, if I knew my time was short, would I wait? When you are embroiled in a petty conflict, ask, is this how I want to spend my one precious night? Let the advisor's presence sharpen your focus, not paralyze you with fear. By making peace with the ending, you are freed to live the middle with unparalleled intensity and grace. You hold the glass sphere gently, lovingly, and because you know it is fragile, you finally see how breathtakingly beautiful it is. This is the freedom the Buddha pointed to, freedom from the fear that robs life of its immediacy and its depth. When you are no longer running from the horizon, you can finally stand fully in the landscape of your life, and see it, at last, for the miraculous, temporary gift that it is. We have journeyed together through many landscapes, of borrowed things, of sand selves, of leaning vines, of stormy lakes, of silent gardens, of unwritten letters, and of the wise advisor who walks beside us. Now, let us gather all these threads. Let us see the tapestry they form. We arrive at the final, integrating truth, the ground upon which a peaceful life is built, regardless of season. We arrive at acceptance. Acceptance is often misunderstood. It is seen as passive resignation, a white flag waved at life's hardships. A giving up. This is not the acceptance taught by the Buddha. His acceptance is an act of profound courage and clear seeing. It is the deliberate relaxation of the mental fist that is constantly clenching against reality. It is not saying, I like this pain. It is saying, this pain is here. Fighting its presence is creating a second layer of pain. I choose to stop the war. Imagine you are caught in a powerful river current. The banks are flying past. You did not choose this river. You cannot immediately get out. You have two options. The first is to panic. To thrash against the current, to scream at the water, to exhaust yourself trying to swim directly back to a bank that is already gone. This is resistance. You will drown, not because the river is inherently deadly, but because you are using all your energy to fight its nature. The second option is acceptance. It is to stop thrashing. To turn onto your back. To float. To let the current carry you while you conserve your strength, get your bearings, and look for a gentle eddy or a downstream branch to grab. You are not agreeing to drown. You are agreeing to the reality of the current, so that you can work with it to find safety. This is the acceptance that saves your life. Buddhism teaches that life is such a river. Its nature is change, impermanence, flux, anicca. To resist this fundamental nature is to suffer. The pain of the cold water, the fear of the unknown downstream, these are part of the river. But the suffering, the panic, the exhaustion, the terror, is created entirely by our resistance to being in the river at all. Acceptance is the skill of floating. It is the only real security, because it is a security that is independent of the river's specific conditions. Whether the water is calm or rough, you know how to float. We spend our prime years trying to build dams to control the river. We build a dam of financial security, a dam of perfect health, a dam of stable relationships. We believe if we engineer well enough, we can create a placid, predictable pond. But the river of life is stronger than any dam. Aging is when the pressure builds, and cracks appear. The dam of health springs leaks. The dam of certain relationships gives way. The dam of control is overtopped. If your security was in the dam, you are now terrified, scrambling with failing sandbags against an irresistible force. But if your security is in your ability to float, your capacity for acceptance, you are not ruined when the dam breaks. You are simply returned to the river, a river you have, through practice, learned how to navigate. I think of my own teacher, an elderly monk in the mountains. For years, I saw him as the embodiment of peace, and I assumed it was because his life was simple, ordered, protected. Then, one harsh winter, a landslide destroyed the monastery's storeroom, wiping out the food carefully saved for the season. The young monks, myself included, were frantic. This was a catastrophe. We ran to our teacher, expecting instructions, a plan, alarm. We found him sitting in the ruined storeroom, on a fallen beam. He was simply looking at the devastation, the smashed jars, the scattered grain being found by birds. There was a deep sadness on his face. But there was no panic. After a long silence, he said, "The mountain has taken back what the mountain gave. Now we see what we are made of." Then he stood, brushed the dust from his robes, and said, "We will go to the village and ask for work in exchange for food. It will be hard. It will be good." In that moment, I saw acceptance in action. He did not like the landslide. He felt the sorrow of the loss. But he did not resist the fact of it. He did not waste a single ounce of energy on, "This shouldn't have happened." He immediately aligned himself with the new, harsh reality and began to move with it. His security was not in the full storeroom. His security was in his unshakable capacity to meet emptiness with clarity and action. He was floating in a suddenly violent current, and he was completely calm. This is the fruit of a lifetime of practice. It is the culmination of all we have discussed. When you practice non-attachment, you are lightening your load so you can float more easily. When you see through identity, you are not weighed down by a sinking statue of yourself. When you cultivate inner independence, you are learning to float without clinging to passing debris. When you make peace with discomfort, you are acclimating to the temperature of the water. When you befriend silence, you can hear your own intuition above the roar. When you live with integrity, you have no heavy stones of regret in your pockets. When you acknowledge death, you are no longer terrified of the river's eventual destination. Aging is the part of the journey where the river often runs faster, through narrower gorges. The scenery changes more rapidly. There is more white water. If you are still trying to dam it or fight it, these years will be a terrifying struggle. But if you have learned to float, to practice acceptance in 10,000 small moments beforehand, this part of the journey can have a majestic, powerful beauty all its own. You are not fighting the current. You are fully in it, present for every twist and turn, every quiet pool and every roaring rapid, with a heart that is open and undefended. Your body will change. Accept it. Care for it, but stop waging war on its nature. Your roles will fall away. Accept it. Discover the being that remains when the doing is done. People you love will leave. Accept it. Grieve them with a love that is not poisoned by denial. Plans will crumble. Accept it. Find the freedom in the unknown. Silence will grow. Accept it. Listen to the wisdom it has been trying to whisper all along. This is not passivity. It is the ultimate responsiveness. From the clear, calm space of acceptance, the most intelligent, compassionate action can arise. You fix what can be fixed. You let go of what cannot. And you never confuse the two. So, this is the final preparation. It is not a technique for old age. It is a way of being for now. Practice acceptance today. When you are stuck in traffic, accept it. Float in the stillness instead of thrashing against it. When you receive criticism, accept the sting. Feel it without adding a story of injustice. When you feel a wave of sadness, accept its presence. Let it wash through you without building a dam to hold it in. In each small act of acceptance, you are learning to float. You are building the only security that endures, the security of a heart and mind that can meet life as it is, not as you demand it to be. When you can do that, you are free. Free from the exhausting struggle. Free to experience the profound beauty of the river itself, in all its terrible and glorious flow. No one is coming to save you from the river. But you don't need saving. You need only remember how to float. This remembrance is the essence of the Buddha's wisdom. It is the gift he offered, not for a peaceful death, but for a peaceful life, all the way through. Thank you for allowing me to share this path with you here at Monk's Temple. May you carry this understanding into your days, meeting each moment with a little more openness, a little more grace, a little more acceptance. May you find the unshakable ground within the ever-changing river. Until we meet again, be well, be awake, be at peace.